Welcome back, and may the 4th be with you. Monday, May 4th, guys, welcome back. We hope you had a wonderful staycation this past week, and we're able to kind of get outside, enjoy yourself a little bit, maybe catch up on some personal things, maybe catch up on some schoolwork, maybe a little yard work like I did, or just relaxed, all right? But in any event, we hope you're happy and healthy, and we welcome you back to my kitchen here. All right, so we're going to be going like Culinary Yoda here, all right? We're going to stick with some fundamentals here, and we're going our last installment in our series on mother sauces with brown sauce, or Espagnol, all right? So we're coming in hot here today with all kinds of mise en place and all kinds of stuff happening. So we're going to go take a look and zero in on our place. All right, so not sure if you guys have seen my YouTube channel out there yet, Chef Matthew Holland, SPARTA Culinary. Check it out. But we introduced a new segment, all right, the mise en place montage. All right, so you guys are going to see this about halfway through this video or while the Espagnol is simmering. But until then, you're going to see it already cut up. All right, we have our tomatoes over here, okay, that we just medium diced. We have some bias sliced celery here, cut on an angle. Just some simple kind of rough chop sliced shallots. Some crushed garlic cloves, okay, some bias cut carrots here as well, cut on an angle. A few medium diced onions, a whole ton of leeks, all right, those long thin onions. We have some cremini mushrooms. We have some more of our aromatics over here. We have bay leaves, some parsley and thyme. All right, we even have some beef bones here. I bought all the beef bones I could get at the store. There wasn't many, so unfortunately, our old friend box stock here is coming back out. But we're going to fortify it and strengthen it with some of our own bones. Tomato paste, peppercorns, and then we have some red wine here. This is just Merlot, whatever cheap red wine I could find. Okay, and we're going to get this started. Now, I'd also like to point out that I bought a new webcam over vacation. The last one served me pretty well, but I dropped it, and my last two audio performances were not at the level I wanted. My standards are higher than that. You deserve better, so I went out and bought a new one. So we're going to start off with just a little bit of canola oil in our saucepan here. Not a ton, because we don't want it too greasy. A lot of fat's going to come out of the beef bones. So we certainly just want the bare minimum here to lubricate our pan. All right. Turn on our exhaust fan here so we don't smoke the place out. Celery. And carrots first. Okay. They take the longest to cook because they have the highest moisture content. Now, for Espagnol sauce, unlike the other mother sauces that we've made, and the tomato and the bechamel and the velouté, we are looking for a very deep, rich golden brown caramelization on our mirepoix. All right? So it's going to take significantly longer to get this sauce going, just because those vegetables take longer to cook when we want to bring them to that level of browning. But we also need to be careful that they don't get too hot too quick, or they're just going to burn and get bitter. We want to draw the moisture out of the vegetables. We want to get that deep, rich flavor and then really concentrate their flavors. That's the purpose for doing what we're doing here. All right? It's not just getting them as brown as we can, as fast as we can. Those are core techniques and fundamentals. Now, folks, our bones we already had roasted off. And I did that the other day because I had the oven on and I was already roasting some things anyway, so why not do that at the same time? But when you're making a brown sauce or you're making a dark stock, like we learned in the fall, all right, you need to roast the bones, okay? It draws a lot of the fat out, but it also gives them a richer, more complex flavor. You can certainly make a white stock using beef bones, but it's not as rich as it would be with roasting them. Now, we just toss these in a little oil and salt, pepper, okay? I got the bones that were available at the store. Okay, these are femur bones, all right? So it's the leg, and it contains a good chunk of marrow in here, all right? And the marrow, folks, is just like in our bones, all right, is like that lifeblood of like what you need to keep you moving, all right? And it's also quite delicious. When it cooks, you can spread it on bread and toast. But we're actually going to let that marrow infuse into our sauce. It gives it a flavor that cannot be replicated without the bones. So if we couldn't make our own beef stock, we could certainly fortify the store-bought stuff using what we are able to get. They have beef rib bones there, which is kind of uncommon to see at the grocery store, but whenever you're choosing your bones for either fortification or for just general stock, always try and buy bones that have a lot of connective tissue, cartilage, and hunks and scraps of meat on them. If that bone looks like it's already been licked dry by your dog over the period of 2 weeks, it's probably not going to make a very good stock. Your dog may certainly still enjoy it and just chew it down to a complete nub or until it evaporates, but when we're creating a stock, when we're fortifying a sauce, we want bones that have a lot of connective tissue, a lot of cartilage, and chunks of meat. I prefer, personally, anything that comes from a joint area, backbones and neck bones. In my personal opinion, I've always found I got the best results in my stocks with. Hey, we're still cooking. We're still seasoning. You can hit it with the salt. And even a little bit of pepper. We'll be adding peppercorns later, but it's all right to put a little sprinkle in now. All right, now it's time to add our onions, leeks, and garlic, all right? So they're going to be going in. Onions. Garlic. As you can see, we simply, or you will see, we just peeled and crushed those cloves of garlic. This sauce has a longer simmering time, so we didn't need to chop them up real fine. All right, with the slow, more elongated simmering process, we will extract all the flavor out of that garlic. And now, our leeks. Okay, so I messed up my order of operations. I should have put the mushrooms in before the leeks. All right, guys, I'm sleeping at the wheel. Hey, I got caught up in vacation week too much. Staycation week, all right? I was just hanging out doing yard work, not thinking about cooking or mushrooms or anything. And I forgot my own order of operations. So now we're going to add the mushrooms and let those cook down. So mushrooms, in this context and purpose, they're still going to add what they add. All right, which is a lot of what we call umami, all right? We'll talk about that another time, but they're also going to bring a darker, more rich color to the party as well. And hey, beef, mushroom, steak, mushrooms, that just works. Those are two big and bold flavors that go together fantastic. So we're going to add our mushrooms. Now, very much like I ask out of you guys at school, when we're in school in class, I have all my mise en place on a tray, okay? And as I'm adding things into the recipe, I'm consolidating the mise en place down, and I'm lining things up in what's going to go in next. So next will be our mushrooms and our tomatoes, followed by our tomato paste, our herbs, our peppercorn, and then our wine. We don't want to forget anything, okay? We're human beings. We forget things. We want to make sure that we're giving ourselves an advantage and, creating some kind of mental checkpoints and tools to make sure that we don't forget anything. All right? Give yourself an advantage when you can. Now, you can see here that these have really cooked down compared to where they were. Okay? So, mushrooms are going to go in. And now's a good time to add our tomatoes. All right? Now, we're also going to be adding tomato paste as well, but I had a tomato in the fridge that was starting to get a little soft, so instead of letting it just sit in there and go bad, it can certainly bring a little life to the party here in the pot. All right? Now, as we're going here, we're going to keep making sure that we're stirring and then kind of making sure we're scraping the bottom of that pot. Because like with the other sauces and the other things that we've done, we're developing that fond, F-O-N-D, all right, that coating on the bottom of the pan. And we certainly do not want to let that burn, all right? It's just going to make our sauce become bitter. But if we release that fond and we really control it, that's where just a tremendous depth of flavor is building in the bottom of that pan from a combination of the vegetables and the seasonings and the fats, all right? We don't want to let that go to waste. We worked hard to create that. All right, we're stirring and scraping the fond down, okay? See it in there? That's flavor. We don't want to let that burn, so we got to make sure we scrape that up. Okay? All right, so now we're ready for our next step, and that is adding the tomato paste. Now, we're not just haphazardly throwing that in there. If you recall, there's a technical term, a French term, for what we need to do to that tomato paste. Does anyone remember? Anyone? 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 You? Maybe. I hope. Pincer or pinçage, okay, which means to bronze or to brown. So our tomato paste is going to go in, and we're going to let that cook, all right? And we're going to let that redness cook down and caramelize and really concentrate. If we don't execute the pincer step properly, we're going to end up with a sauce that's going to be more red than brown, and that's not what we want. Now, we certainly do not want to omit this step because the depth and complexity of flavor and how it pairs with our mirepoix and our additional vegetables and our aromatics, and of course that beef flavor, is very important in getting that proper, rich, deep, beefy, totality of everything together flavor that we want in a proper brown sauce. All right, so tomato paste going in. As we can see, our vegetables have really cooked down, okay? All right, we still have a little bit of fond to release on the bottom of that pan, but nothing is in jeopardy of burning, okay? Gonna grab some of our tomato paste here, not all of it. We'll save some for future use. Straight in, okay? Again, we're going with the wooden spoon here, guys. No metal on metal crimes in this kitchen. Okay, so now we're ready to add our aromatics and deglaze with our red wine. All right? The red wine is adding acid to the sauce. And acids, when they cook down, morph into sugars, okay? So it's going to add a sweetness to it, but it's going to add kind of a bolder sweetness to it, all right? It's going to give it some really nice depth and character in its flavor. And again, this is something that if you were to omit this from your recipe, your results are not going to be nearly as good. All of the alcohol evaporates out of this wine as soon as it comes up to a boil. All right, so it's not like it's a boozy sauce here, all right? That just, you know, and any of those qualities immediately evaporate out, just leaving behind that grape flavor that's going to pair so well with all of our other bold flavors. All right, so we can see our cracked peppercorns going in. Bay leaves, okay? 1, 2, 3. Our little bundle of thyme's gonna go in, and our parsley, okay? Get that stirred in. You can see that tomato paste has gotten much darker in there. All right, that's the indicator that we know we're ready. It's brought on that bronzy color to it, and it's not nearly as bright red characters as it was. Okay. Okay, now it's time for the wine. Now, as we're adding our wine and it's coming up to temp, this is where we want to scrape all the fond off the bottom of that pot. All right, and allow it to release. Now we are going to cook this down until that wine is almost completely evaporated. All right, and as we recall, that means au sec. That's French to cook dry. All right, or too dry. All right, so we're going to stir this in. Ooh, this smells magnificent. All right, we're going to be very careful to make sure that we're deglazing and scraping all our fond off the bottom of our pan. We don't want to waste it. And certainly we don't want it to end up scorching and burning to the bottom of the pot. That's just going to make our sauce bitter. And we want to avoid that. So, in about 4 and 5 minutes after that's evaporated out, we're going to move on to our next step, which is incorporating, obviously, our beef stock and then fortifying it with our bones, okay? And again, to fortify means to reinforce or to strengthen, okay? In any context of the word fortify means to strengthen. All right, if we're fortifying our defenses, if we're in battle, we're building it up, we're strengthening them, then we're making them stronger. We're making them more bold, all right, more dynamic, more complex. All right, that's basically the essence of the word fortify. Okay, so we're going to let this cook down a sec, and we'll be back. All right, so now we're ready to take a look inside of our pot to see the red wine reduction. All right, see how dark and beautiful, bold colored that is? Okay. Most of the moisture is evaporated out when I push it to the side, okay? Better angle here. You can see how the bottom of that pan is clean, okay? That's exactly what we want. Nothing scorched or burned to the bottom. That color that we have here has come from, obviously, the caramelization of the vegetables, but also with the tomato paste in there and that reduction of red wine. And, of course, that wonderful, beautiful, flavorful fond that developed in the bottom of that pan that we released off of it and added it back into the sauce party. All right? That is crucial. I cannot stress to that enough to you. All right? Don't let the fond burn and stay on the bottom of the pot. It'll ruin everything. But when it's handled properly, that's when the magic happens. And that's good. All right, time to add the bones. And we're going to count these in just as a good practice, like we do with our bay leaves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? 6. Just as many Super Bowls the Patriots have won. Now we're going to add our beef stock. And since in reality we're kind of making a bit of a hybrid Espagnol sauce here, where it's kind of like it is, if anything, it's very much Espagnol sauce, but with the bone fortification, it almost kind of has some stock fundamentals to it as well, which, if you recall, they really kind of mirror each other. There's only one thing that's different. What is it? What is it? What is it? The roux. All the ingredients otherwise are precisely the same. Making the initial stock, all right, we're just fortifying it in the Espagnol process with those same flavors, but now we're thickening it with the roux, which we're going to be moving on to next. Right, so now we're at the point where our sauce is in simmering mode, all right? That's going to take, I'm going to give it an hour today, okay? I'm going to give it an hour because a typical Espagnol sauce, I wouldn't have those big hearty bones in, but I just didn't want to rely solely on the beef stock because we were unable to secure enough bones to make our own. So it's going to go a little longer. That's also why the vegetables were cut just a hair bigger than they otherwise would be, okay? In the process of this simmering, it's also going to reduce, all right? And by reduction, the quantity is getting smaller. So we're evaporating water out, thus concentrating the existing flavors, which is part of the flavor layering process. All right, so we have shown a tremendous amount of fundamental and technique so far along the way here, but we certainly still have a long way to go. So we got an hour simmering. We're going to let it do its thing, and I'm going to go do my thing for a little while. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about dark roux, and then we're going to get the sauce finished up, all right? It is officially intermission, and we are going to cue version 2 of the mise en place montage. Kick it! So I was thinking, since I keep telling you guys about this yard work I'm doing, I might as well prove it. All right, so I'm out here in my driveway. All right, and it's raining. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so I'm going to look down here and you're going to see, hey, Chef's got a crushed stone driveway. All right. Well, a week ago, that was like a mud pit. All right, I raked it all up and I make sure I turned over the rocks and brought some more rocks in. Okay, and I even fixed a big patch in my lawn. Okay, see all that? Dug it all up, add some fresh dirt, seeded it. Mother Nature's doing her job and watering it for me. Raked up my whole lawn, looking good. All right. See my truck? I even washed and waxed it, looking good there, right? Hey, vive la stool. Vive la stool. All right. Cleaned up all underneath the porch over here. It's looking good, okay? All right, now here, this was my big project. I have like invasive raspberry bushes, and I love wild raspberries, but I got so many plants just naturally growing here. I don't need them all, and they were taking over my lawn. So you can see where it's all kind of scorched there. Those were all raspberry bushes. And see this tree? I've watched this tree grow. All right. That thing wasn't there 5 years ago, 8 years ago. It just kind of grew from a seed and came into its being. All right, so I'm going to watch it grow. I'm going to enjoy that. All right, see all that? Reclaiming my yard. All right, see, look at that. Much better, much better, much better, much better. So that's a tour chef's yard. Not too glamorous, but hey, I'm going to tell you, I got the most glamorous yard in the trailer park. That's called winning. All right, guys, we are back. We have had ample simmering time now for our Espagnol, okay? It is evaporated down. It is reduced and concentrated those flavors, we hope. Now we got to give it the spoon test. Would you just look at that? Spectacular. Stunning. All right. Let's see what we got here. See what we got. All right, just a little bit. We don't want to melt our face off. Whoa. All right, dudes and dudettes. Damn! That's about all I got to say about that. All right. Now, it's certainly not done. It hasn't been thickened, it hasn't been strained, it hasn't been seasoned, but I'm going to tell you all of that hard work, all right, and fundamental discipline that we put in to building those flavors and creating the sauce is going to pay dividends for us in our final product. All right, so we got a makeshift first stage straining apparatus set up here. Because our chunks are so much bigger, we're going to strain them out using this colander right here, as opposed to our fine strainer that could get dented or damaged in the process of straining all that out. So first, I'm going to pick out the bones. There was 6 of those. And then I'm going to try and find the bay leaves just to keep my standards high, like I've taught you, and make sure that we're counting them out like we counted them in. All right, that's 3 of them. So when I pull these bones out, you're also going to see how any of that existing meat has now fallen off of it into the sauce, and the connective tissue, and the cartilage is melted down into this simmering sauce, which is going to help give it a thick body and a delicious richness that it otherwise wouldn't have had if we had just used that box prop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now looking for our bay leaves. There's 1. Oh, number 2. The last one's going to give me a hard time, guys. I know it. The first 2 came out easy. That means the third one, we may. We're going to dig that one out of the strainer. But we're still going to keep count and make sure it's counted for. Why? Because we have standards. Careful pour so it doesn't spill out. Nope. And we'll add the remainder. Number 3. Now, one of the derivatives of a classic Espagnol is a sauce that's called Bordelaise, all right? And it's an homage to the Bordeaux region of France, which is known for their winemaking, all right? A proper Bordelaise has a strong Bordeaux reduction and the addition of poached or roasted beef bone marrow or veal bone marrow. Even though we're not really turning this into a Bordelaise, we're going to keep with that spirit, and we're going to dig this marrow out. Okay, see that right in there? because that stuff's tasty, and we're going to let it go into the sauce as we finish it up. All right, so we just use the spoon or the back of the spoon. Okay, we scrape it out. A lot of it's already fallen out in the simmering process, but we're not going to throw this away in the trash. Look at all that. Okay, that's all like beefy, delicious love. Why would we waste that? We wouldn't. Never wash flavor down the trash can. And then there's all this kind of leftover meat on the ribs. Okay, know what I call that? Jeffy snacks. Yummy. All right, guys, welcome back. Now, our sauce is initially strained and we're ready to make our dark roux. Okay, so we've done white roux, we've done blonde roux, now it's time for dark roux. Dark roux requires a little more attention as we're making it and a closer monitoring of our heat. Because if it gets too hot or it stays in one spot too long, it'll burn very quickly. We don't want that. Now, while this is cooking, like we had mentioned before, the milk solids in the butter will naturally brown, the fat will naturally brown, and then the flour will toast, okay? Like we had used the analogy about the Maillard reaction in a loaf of bread going from a pale color to a dark brown as it bakes. All right, so there's a lot of science in this, and we need to respect it and really pay attention to it, okay? So over here, okay, we got about 6 ounces of butter, and we got about 6 ounces of flour. Butter, gonna get that melted down. Okay, we want to make sure that our butter doesn't start to brown while it's melting. That would be bad, okay? And you can see on the back here, we have our sauce is continuing to simmer away, and the love that's gone into that, all right? We're just going to let it keep going for a little while. It's going to be nice and hot and ready for the thickening agent as soon as the roux's done. All right, as you can see, our butter is fully melted and doing its thing, and now we're going to add our flour in, okay? We don't want to let it boil over. Fog cam. Get this mixed in and try to avoid lumps if we can. Now, like we've talked about before, you can really use any fat. I prefer butter just because I like its taste and flavor. But if you're somebody who doesn't consume dairy, you could either use beef fat, lard, or even canola oil is completely fine. But I like to use butter. So, where it's at right now is the white roux stage, okay? Just come together, and as it starts toasting, very soon it will be in the blonde roux stage. Blonde roux stage. You can smell that? Nutty, toasty, delicious. Oh yeah, brown roux. All right, now you're not going to see much of my face here. Well, you are now, but you're going to see me go through the process of incorporating or tempering this roux into there. That slow, gradual add, balancing of the temperatures. All right. Now you may have also noticed, aha, I got an area carpet to cover up my scumbag floor. All right. If you can't fix it right away, you might as well cover it up. All right, so we're just going to ladle some of this right into the roux mixture. Oh, look at that. See it foaming right up. We got a lot happening there. There's a lot of heat. Okay, that roux is actually significantly hotter than the boiling liquid, because fats get hotter than liquids do, than like water-based liquids. Okay, fats can get 500, 600, 800 degrees. All right, once water hits 212 for water-based liquids, that's it. Okay. So now we are going to incorporate this in a little bit at a time. And we're only going to add enough until it's at our close to our desired consistency. Okay, I think I maybe made too much roux here. Now, this sauce is also a little thick because of all that added protein from the bones and the cartilage and all of that lovely natural beef-based protein that came out of the bones and the simmering process. So this is not going to require nearly as much added thickener as our bechamel or our velouté did because Mother Nature is doing its thing. Okay? Maybe just one more little round here, and then that's going to be good. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And we're going to give this a taste. Now, guys, my sneaking suspicion is that this is dynamite because my house smells phenomenal right now, okay? It smells like prime rib has been roasting in here all day long, and there's just like wonderful beef juice and bone aroma, and vegetables, aromatics. I mean, it's spectacular smelling in here, okay? So we're going to give this a little taste and see what we got. I ran out of plastic spoons, guys, so I'm back to washing my metal one each time, all right? I got like 35 spoons in the sink, okay? This certainly hasn't thickened all the way up as it will, okay? But it's pretty close. Okay, look at that. We're steaming, all right? We got steaming Willie Beeman here. That might be too old for most of you guys, but awesome movie. Check it out any given Sunday. No, needs more salt. Fresh spoon, no double dipping, Costanza. Now, again, we don't want this seasoned to its absolute full finished potential because other sauces are meant to be turned into something else. Now, don't get me wrong. I find it to be absolutely delicious just the way it is. But, again, the purpose of the mother sauces and the spirit around them is to give us that flexibility for it to be a number of different things right at your disposal at fingertips that requires very little to minimum finishing. Oh, man. That's it. That's good. Unbelievable. But it still has that astringent chalkiness to it, which we had noted in an earlier video in velouté and bechamel that the starch presence is still too high. We need to allow that starch to finish cooking out, all right, and kind of transition into the more sugary side of its natural being and not so chalky and astringent, all right? So this is going to be simmering on low for probably 10 to 15 minutes, and then it'll be done. See, I told you guys the Espagnol took the longest of the mother sauces, all right? Especially when you're making a larger batch. Everything in larger batches requires more time, all right? If I was making a very, very small batch, it would be done quickly. But we're going to end up with about 2.5 finished quarts of Espagnol here. When you guys did this in class, I think you made a pint, maybe. So we're talking totally different spectrums here, okay? We're going to be back in 15. We're going to get this strained off, and we're going to do just 2 little minor finishing touches to it to take it across the finish line, all right? Go. All right. We're fully simmered. Our starch should be all cooked out by now. We got multiple spoons here for quite a few dips of tasting, but first we're going to check our consistency. We're looking for that nappe. Go to spoon. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Ooh. Needs no more cook time. We're going to finish it after it's strained. We have our storage container and our strainer ready to go. I know, I still haven't got the chinois yet, but I'm gonna. Next time I go up to school, I've been up there in 2 weeks. There we go. Strain this right out. You'll see a lot of what the colander didn't get strained out. A lot of fine particles from the herbs and little corners of vegetables and little hunks of meat scraps. And, just cartilage and tissue off the bones that didn't fully melt out. Okay, we don't want that. Our finished sauce. So it's good we still have a nice fine mesh strainer here to use. All right, so now you can see we're all strained out here. We're going to finish it with a knob of butter. We're just going to let the residual heat melt that down. It's just going to give it a nice little creamy finish. And then we're going to hit it with just a tiny touch of lemon juice. All right? If I had a quality finishing vinegar, I would use that. But I just more have cooking vinegars or salad dressing vinegars. Not a real high-end barrel-aged vinegar like Pedro Jimenez cherry vinegar. Or a real fine quality balsamic would even actually be a nice little touch in there. Okay, butter's all melted. Sauce is strained. We're going in. That's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. Now, we're going to be turning this into something completely different, all right? We're kind of going way off. We're going old school, but not in the direction that you would think. All right, but now this sauce, as it stands just the way it is, would be wonderful served with a roast. Okay, you could serve it with meatloaf. You could take this right here and make the absolute most baller poutine. Okay, French fries, gravy, and cheese curds. I might make some myself later this week. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll document it. Maybe we'll throw a little extra bonus video in there, a little poutine special to liven up your week, all right? We'll poutine action, all right? Pay homage to our French-Canadian neighbors to the north, all right? Those guys are always bringing the heat in the food scene, all right? One last taste for good measure. Yum, yum, yum. That's right where it needs to be. I'm pretty stoked on this. I'm proud of how it came out. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to be dropping this video in a couple of days, actually, because we're going to let you get caught up. And it's going to be going on to my YouTube channel starting tomorrow, actually, after I edit it and add in all my information and so on. But we're not going to be going on Classroom until the end of the week. Okay. Until then, guys, make sure you're doing your duty and staying on top of your assignments, communicating with your teachers and your mentors. And, make sure you reach out if you need something. Make sure you reach out if you have a question. Make sure you reach out if you have a concern. Okay? I'm not going to go back and repeating the same stuff like we had before, but now that it's springtime and it's legit springtime, go out and try and be more active, okay? Distance yourself. Stay away. Do your 6 feet. If you're a masked person, be a masked person. If you're not a masked person, be a not masked person. Just remember, if you need to sneeze or cough, what do we learn in Serve Safe? All right, either point it away or into our elbow like that. All right, try not to touch your face. I know that's hard. I really struggle with that one. But do the right thing. We're going to beat Corona. All right, it's not going to be around here forever. We're not going to let it run our lives. We're not going to let it ruin our lives. All right, be safe. Be practical, okay? Have common sense. And do what you know is best and what's right. But I'm going to tell you one thing, don't be afraid. Show no fear, because you should not show fear. All right? We're strong. We're smart. We have common sense. We are a very practical people up here in the North Country. We should all be proud of that, okay? We are granite tough. We are granite strong. We live free or die. Greatest state motto ever. How could you even compare to that? All right. Shout out yesterday, 17th anniversary of the old man of the mountain falling down. All right. I miss my old man. Okay. Most of you guys weren't even alive when that thing fell down, or if you were alive, you were, a year old or maybe 2, who knows? It was just an iconic natural rock formation on the side of a mountain in Franconia Notch, and it was something that I always took pride in seeing whenever I drove by it. And when it fell down, it was a very sad day for the state of New Hampshire, and it was worldwide news. I saw it on a national news station in Williamsburg, Virginia, when I was doing an internship down there at a gloriously beautiful luxury inn called the Williamsburg Inn, owned by the Rockefeller family. Yes, those Rockefellers, you know, like the super billionaire rich Rockefellers that like basically created the oil industry as we know it. And yeah, it was all over the news even down then. But okay, guys, we hope you had a great vacation. We're back in the saddle. We got 5 weeks, okay? 5 weeks. We want you to finish strong. We want you to be positive. We want you to be productive, okay? Productivity pays. Being present doesn't pay. All right, being present in school doesn't pay. Being productive in school pays. Being present at a job doesn't pay. Being productive in a job pays. Be productive, okay? Do your best. Be who you are capable of being and who you're destined to be. All right? That's it for Espagnol sauce. That's it for Chef for today. We're going to be coming at you later on this week, and I can't wait to show you what we're doing, all right? Till then, just keep cooking good. Peace.